Hey y'all, hi. It's finally time for another episode of What's Cheering Me Up Right Now? Yay! And I feel like I haven't done this in a long time for no reason. I just forgot. It's like for the past several weeks, every time we've sat down and looked over the week and talked about like what I need to film, it slipped my mind. But there have been things cheering me up, and I'm really glad that I finally collected them into a little list, and then I'm finally going to share them with you. If this is your first time to my channel, then welcome. I'm really glad you're here. I'm Hannah. I love beautiful things. This is a beauty channel, so I do review makeup from time to time, sometimes new makeup. I do love putting makeup on my face on camera and talking you guys through it and using the stuff that I already own. I'm really big on that. This is my favorites video. A lot of times when beauty gurus do favorites videos, they're talking about like new products that are their favorite new products. I like to talk about the things that have been cheering me up in life that aren't products, because even though new stuff is really fun and can add value to a life, actual contentment and joy in life, I think, comes from other things. It comes from yourself. It comes from the things that you do, just the way that you treat yourself. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in this video. And if that kind of beauty content sounds good to you, I hope you will subscribe. Now let's go ahead and get into the meat of this video. You want to know something that happened? I haven't worn this top in a really long time, and when I put it on, it reminded me of something funny that happened, which is that when Joe and I moved in here with Julia and Ollie, and Julia and I, within like the first week, were like going through each other's closets, I found that she owns this like overcoat thing in the same print. It's like a duster. It's a very beautiful piece. Isn't that kind of the business? I feel like I should. Should I leave it on for the whole video? It's too hot to do that. I'm going to show you the whole thing though. Why is this suddenly my favorite outfit that I've ever worn? I am just wearing like my Skims sleeping trunks. Like these are this is like underwear / shorts from Skims that I sleep in. And I don't usually wear them as like clothes. I mean, I don't ever wear them as clothes, but I just feel like it kind of goes. I'm here for it. But I'm already too hot. I actually can't keep this on for the whole video. I just wanted to show you. I got a kick out of it. I mean, this stuff is from Aritzia seasons ago. Like it's not still available or anything, but I loved the fact that Julia and I independently fell in love with this print and independent of each other bought like a piece in this print. It is a really good one. I understand why it happened. All right, let's get into what's cheering me up right now. Item number 1, Samantha Ravendall talked about me on her channel, and some of you are new here because of that, and I just can't tell you how much it means to me. I mean, this is a really weird kind of work to do, and I never intended for it to be as much a part of my life as it actually has turned out to be. I mean, I started my channel just on a lark and to support my no buy year, and it's ended up being like the main thing that I'm doing now with the fact that Joe and I had to close our small business because of COVID. There's so much that I didn't expect. I did not prepare myself. I did not like imagine how it would be to be growing a channel. And at the beginning, it was very like, OMG, like how many people are following me? How does it feel to have people following me? And like, what do I need to do to grow my presence and to get people to follow me and all that stuff? Over the years, and especially over the course of the pandemic, because gosh, this year has really shown me that you cannot control or predict what's going to happen in your life. Things just unfold willy-nilly. And yeah, I mean, it's good to have goals and to work towards them and to take care of yourself and to build something. Like, I'm not saying that you should just be totally passive, but I've just learned so firsthand and so acutely over the past year how much of an illusion the illusion of control really is. And I think that one of the things that's done for me in terms of like YouTube work is that it's caused me to really cool down about like the numbers game, like the part of YouTube where it's like how many subscribers, how many views, all of this stuff. I'm just like, I have got to just do what I do and then hope that it continues to be a thing that people care about on the other end, that people want to connect with. I didn't like make an active effort to overhaul the way that I think about YouTube or the way that I think about social media. It's just one of the pieces of fallout of the fact that it was such a crazy year and the fact that I ended up doing some spiritual work and some inner work on myself, kind of in a more intensive way even than I had been because it's been such a crazy year. So recently, I haven't been thinking about it that much, and that made it such a sweet surprise to have a little burst of growth because of someone as influential as Samantha. Sam, if you're watching, I mean, I've told her on like in an Instagram message how much it means to me and how incredibly delightful it was to wake up that morning to, you know, people contacting me and sending me the link and then to click through and watch the really, really sweet and lovely and encouraging things that she said in her video. Like, you know, Sam, like how much it means and how much I appreciate it, but I just wanted to say it publicly because honestly, girl, like, thank you. Never underestimate what it can mean to another person to just throw them a little bone. Like if you're in a situation anywhere, in your work life, for example, or even in your family life, like if you are in a situation where you know that you have clout, that your word means something, that you have some influence, even in just a small system, not like the million people that Samantha has sway over, but even in just your system, like what's the corollary in your life, in the systems that you move in your life, your social circles or your academic circle or your work or family. If you're the Samantha in your life, in your social systems, in some way, even in some small way, who's the Hannah? Like ask yourself that. Who's the Hannah? And then maybe consider just throwing her a bone because it can make a huge difference in the inner life of a person to do that. It's a kind of generosity that feels totally unnecessary, that many people don't think about, but that I really do believe makes the world go round. And I was reminded of that recently. Okay, the next thing that's on my list, the next thing that's been cheering me up is another playlist. This is something that I mentioned a couple of times in past What's Cheering Me Up Right Now is what's cheering me up right now. Can you pluralize what's cheering me up right now? Joe likes to make acronyms out of everything, like in like the planning stages, the scheduling that we do for the channel. He likes to turn everything into an acronym. So what's cheering me up right now is like Wuckmern. It's time for another episode of everyone's favorite television show, Wuckmern. Anyway, some of the other episodes of Wuckmern also had in them that I had reconnected with the idea of like building my own playlist and then listening to it. And the one that I built the most recently is called Energy. And it's because I was really inspired by this song that I had never heard before, but that I heard recently that's like, why you keep wasting your energy, protect your energy. I'll link it down below. It's the only song that I know by this artist, but now I've listened to it like 1,000 times.
Why you keep wasting your energy, never let them draw out your energy, protect your energy.
It's really good. I mean, I don't know if I'm making it sound good, but it's like the song for me at this moment. And so it's cool because I made this playlist. I called it Energy because it's inspired by that song. And that's the first song. And the song's like, protect your energy. So it's like protect your energy, but then it's a very energizing and energetic playlist. And I've been listening to it when I work out, and I've been like encouraged to move my body faster, to like move my body to the beat while I'm listening to these songs that have kind of like a high beat per minute. Anyway, the playlist has been cheering me up. And I think it's once again that thing, like I've remembered that listening to music can really influence my mood. And so I have been doing it more consistently, kind of like taking a pill. You know what I mean? When I just feel like I am in a slump or I just don't feel like I have the wherewithal to like get going. I've remembered recently that one of the things that I can do is to put on my headphones, put on music, and I've been putting on this playlist, and then it can really help. It really like just gives me a jolt of literally energy and cheers me up, gets me going, makes it much easier to do stuff like get started with meal prep. If it's, 4:30 and I'm ready to start cooking dinner, or I have to start cooking dinner, but I'm not feeling ready, I can just put it on and just start listening to this song. And I'm just like, okay, here we go. So I'll make the playlist public before I post this video, and I'll link it down below. You can like follow the playlist on Spotify. And then even if I continue changing it and adding to it, you'll be able to still listen to it and like be updated as I change it. Okay, let's talk about a couple of things that I've been watching lately. One of the things that's been really fun is that Joe and I have been watching old seasons of Drag Race, which, I mean, RuPaul's Drag Race is basically my favorite television show ever. And there's a current season of All Stars, which is going on right now, and that's been really fun to watch. And we're watching that, but we've never gone back. I have done it. Well, no, I've watched all of the seasons once. I think that's all I've done. I don't think I've ever rewatched a season, actually. I've watched all of the seasons once, and Joe has watched some of the seasons with me. So he started watching around season 8, like when it was airing. And since then, he's watched every season of Drag Race and every season of All Stars with me. So we've been like watching them together since season 8. But he had never seen any of the earlier seasons, and I had never gone back and rewatched any of the earlier seasons. So we decided to go back and watch season 6. It was season 6 because, and I'll try not to go on too long about it because I know not everyone watches Drag Race, but on the current season of All Stars, Laganja Estranja was one of the lip sync assassins. And it was so lovely to see her. I mean, it was just like this beautiful lip sync and really affecting and really stunning. And Joe was like, who is that? Like, which queen is that? What season was she on? And I was like, oh, she was originally on season 6. And he was like, let's go back and watch season 6. So we went back and watched it, and it was just so fun. And I can't remember how we decided to. I think it's because Ben de la Creme is on season 6. And then when we finished watching it, we were like, isn't Ben de la Creme in one of the seasons of All Stars? And I was like, yeah, Ben de la Creme's on All Stars 3. So we were like, let's watch All Stars 3 next. Is that what we're watching right now? The point is just that it's not like we went back and we're like watching them all the way through in order or something. We're kind of like hopping around watching them casually, like whatever we feel like, you know? And that's just been really fun. It's been fun to be always watching like an old season of Drag Race or Drag Race All Stars for the days when there isn't a new one to watch. I've just been really enjoying it. And it's fun to see like how the aesthetic changes over time, how the queens change over time, how RuPaul's like fashion changes over time, and the production quality and what's standard. It's just for me as a super fan of the show, it's like a pleasure that I haven't yet indulged in to like go back and revisit old seasons and get a fuller sense of the way things evolved over time now in light of how they've evolved since those original seasons. So that's been a real pleasure. And if you've never watched Drag Race, I couldn't recommend more, starting with one of the earlier seasons, like season 4, season 5, season 6. Like those are all great seasons to start with. And if you have watched all of the seasons of Drag Race and enjoyed them, but you've never done, I'm not like a show or movie rewatcher. That's why I haven't gone back and watched them. It's not because I don't love Drag Race as much as one possibly can love it, because I do. It's because I just never, ever, ever rewatch things, or like almost never. It's very rare for me to be like, I loved that so much that I want to watch it again. What I usually do is wait until it's been so long that I've basically forgotten everything that happened. And that kind of has started happening with some of the early seasons. I remember the general shape of things, but I don't always remember exactly what went down episode to episode. So that's part of why it's been really exciting to rewatch them. I also did something just in the past couple of weeks that I've been meaning to do for a really long time. I watched the Jurassic World movies. I'd never seen them. This is like kind of up my alley, but in a sort of weird way. I mean, if you watch all of What's Cheering Me Up right now, whenever I do it, and you hear me talk about like the television shows and the movies that I like to watch, then you'll know that I kind of like these fantasy, science fiction, alternate reality world kind of things. And I also like things that are sort of blockbustery for children, but in like a science fiction-y fantasy way. I also love fundamentally geeky stuff, like stuff to do with ancient Egypt and dinosaurs. Sometimes I just sit there thinking about dinosaurs, like the fact that they actually existed, that it's not fantasy, it's like actually the past, it's actually natural history. Sometimes I just sit there and think about it, and I try to really register with myself the fact that dinosaurs actually existed on the earth, the physical reality of them. Like, it's not made up. It's actually real, true history from the past. So I'm gonna just sit there and I try to actually know it for real. It's very moving. I feel it's very moving to do that. When I can actually get my brain to like believe it, it moves me. Anyway, you would think I would have already seen Jurassic World, The original Jurassic Park movie and then movies, I think I've seen them a long time ago. Definitely the first one, like way back in the day. But I don't know if I then watched the ensuing Jurassic Park movies. But when it started up again with the Jurassic World movies, like the second wave of the franchise, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to see that. But nobody wanted to watch it with me. Like the people that I know that I consume media with don't really share this proclivity for like science fiction blockbustery, but kind of can be cheesy sort of stuff. Like it's just the kind of thing I have to watch by myself in the bath. So I've been meaning to do it for, I don't know, years. When did they come out? Like in the mid 2000 teens. I've been meaning to watch them and I kept forgetting. And every time it was time for me to watch something in the bath, I would forget. So just in the past couple of weeks, I finally remembered at the right time that I've always been meaning to go back and watch Jurassic World. And I watched the first one, just Jurassic World, and then the second one, Fallen Kingdom. And I loved them. Fallen Kingdom is pretty bad. I felt like it was pretty bad. Like it's just a lot of suspension of disbelief, some plot holes, very like they were trying to make drama out of these like sets and characters and scenes and they just didn't really work. Just a little bit weak sauce, but I just didn't care. I feel like I know what I'm signing up for when I watch a thing like that and I just go all in. I am determined to enjoy myself and I was determined to enjoy myself despite the cracks in the foundation of either of those movies. And I enjoyed myself immensely watching them. And then I get to the end of the second one and I come to find out that Jurassic World Dominion is not even out yet. I thought I was going to be able to watch all three of them, but because I haven't been paying attention, I didn't know that it wasn't like already a trilogy. The next one isn't coming out until next year or something. What are some other things? I also watched the new Mortal Kombat movie. Like this is again the kind of thing that, and I've never even played Mortal Kombat, the game. Like I knew nothing about it. I'm just such a sucker for an origin story. And I just had this sense that even if I never played it, it's Mortal Kombat. I mean, it's based on the video game, so it's just like a movie full of origin stories for these characters who I guess are like the iconic characters of Mortal Kombat. I love origin stories so much that I was just like, I want to watch this movie full of origin stories of characters that I don't know, and I'm not even going to care that I don't know them. At least I suspected that that would be the case. And I was right. It is full of origin stories. And I was also right that I didn't care that I didn't know about the characters. I just loved it. Very violent, like very gory. And I'm not really into that part of it. That's not what I was watching it for. I sort of just like waited it out, like the really gory fight scenes. But the rest of it, just like the structure of the movie, I was so here for that. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's horrifically gory though. Like don't watch it unless you have done your research and you really know what you're getting yourself into. I'm surprised that I loved it. I'm surprised that I wanted to watch it, but I just did it. I just was like, I'm gonna watch this, and I did it. And then I was like, I'm so glad I did that. So that's all kind of goofy business, but I actually do have one television show to recommend that, to recommend with caveats, that I think is really spectacular, a little bit difficult to watch, gritty, and it's a little bit out of the way. Like you might not know about it. No one might have mentioned it to you because there's so many options now with streaming and all of these different platforms making all of their shows. This is one that Joe and I have happened to start watching together. It's called Physical. It's set in the 1980s and it's basically about a woman developing a relationship with aerobics, like dance aerobics at that time. But it's also about gender roles and relationships between men and women at that time. And it is also very much about disordered eating. And like the woman, the main character, has an eating disorder. That's the big caveat. If you struggle with that, if you're not in a place in your life where you could watch the inner life of a woman with an eating disorder, then stay far, far away from this show. Because I can imagine that it could be very triggering. It's very, very dark. And that's why I think that it's so great, because it does this thing where it opens a door for people who haven't had that experience to feel it. And I think that when television is really, really great, that is what it's doing. One of the other things that it really opens the door for people to see and experience is like these like gross men. There are these just like gross men, these male characters in the show that are gross in this hippie 1980s, super misogynistic, liberal kind of way. These characters are rendered so well, so like painfully well. And they're seen through the eyes of the main character, who is the woman that relates to them. And so it's like the female gaze. That's what I keep thinking about when I watch the show. It's like, the male, the male gaze, the idea of like the male gaze in art, the eyes through which you are watching, meaning like the eyes of this main character. It's rendering things that, it's not like no shows have ever been made or no media has ever been made about these things, but it's just rendering them in this particularly sharp, kind of like dark, troubling way. I mean, it's not great. It's that it kind of makes me feel a little sick sometimes to watch it, but it's still really addictive to binge and like really, really compelling because they are doing such a good job of like getting in between the cracks of some of the issues that underlie our society, especially the issues that underlie living in this culture as a woman and in a woman's body and relating to men as a woman in a woman's body. Like some of the really dark, difficult issues that underlie that, it's like being opened up and showed to you, and it's like awful, but I can't look away because I also feel kind of seen. You know what I mean? I feel like the show is like illustrating its own versions of things that have happened to me in my life, and that I have always felt about those things that it's like so complicated or so difficult that like you can't explain it to anyone. You can't really like expose it. You can't really lay out all of the pieces that's what makes it so frustrating, or that's what makes it feel so much like a trap or something. These little aspects of my life as a woman, or like my life in this body and in this culture, that I feel like have been these private pains or struggles, or maybe things I could try to talk about with my friends, but it never really goes anywhere. It's just sucks, And then I see this show like illustrating those things, those moments of interaction, those moments of difficulty, those moments of feeling trapped. And that's, even though it's dark and difficult, it's very validating and freeing. And I find that it's actually in some weird way sort of uplifting. Like it feels a little bit gross to watch. And then I also feel joy when I'm watching it because I'm like, yes, you're doing it. You're showing how it is for anyone to watch. So it's definitely not for everyone. But if you think that it might be for you, if what I'm saying kind of appeals to you, definitely tread lightly. Make sure that you're in a place mentally and emotionally to be able to handle it. But if it is for you, then I'm glad that I was able to let you know about it, because I'm really glad that we're watching it. All right. That was kind of a heavy one. It's like hard to talk about why isn't this supposed to be what's cheering me up right now? I guess I did get at that part at the end. Let's talk about something that is really cheering me up, like really great. And this is the one. Sometimes one sneaks in that is like a thing that you buy, but I didn't actually buy this. Joe got it for me. It was a present, and I'm so grateful. So I have had all of this terrible shoulder pain. Like I think that it's basically fallout of a year of stress, and also just not being able to like get a massage or go to the chiropractor or get any kind of treatment. Especially because I spent like an entire decade of my life basically as a dancer. My 20s, I was a tango dancer. And so I developed the habit of taking really good care of my body and getting massage when I need to, stretching it out when I need to. And it's been a lot harder to do that this year than it ever has been, because of COVID. So I, got all this stuff coming up underneath my shoulder blade and in my shoulder. And then even though I've been trying, I haven't been able to do what I would otherwise do to like combat those issues. And so it's gotten like worse. And that doesn't usually happen to me. I'll get issues in my back, but then I'll like solve them. And this, it just hasn't gone away. And I was noticing that it's often worse when I wake up in the morning. Like I'd sleep on it, sleep funny on it. And then I would wake up in the morning and it would be worse. Sometimes it will go down for a couple days, but then it'll flare back up. And it'll always be like first thing in the morning when I wake up. Or sometimes I wake in the middle of the night and it's like hurting because I'm sleeping on it funny. So I did some research. I've like watched all these videos. These two really funny physical therapists, what are their names? Bob and Brad. Have you guys watched Bob and Brad? Yeah, Bob and Brad, the two most famous physical therapists on the internet. So Bob and Brad made me aware that I should try not to sleep on that shoulder. And there's all this stuff about how to like support your body with pillows so that you are sleeping in more of a neutral position. If you can't sleep on your back, which I can't, I've tried, y'all. I know that the most healthy thing for your spine is to just sleep on your back like neutral. And I cannot sleep. I literally can't fall asleep like that. So Bob and Brad are like, if you can't sleep on your back, then like sleep on your side, but on your other side, but like put pillows between your knees and like under your arms and under your head, like all these ways to like sleep all propped up. So I was going to sleep with like all these pillows like all around me and propped up and like getting myself in this position. And it does help. It does help to sleep on my other side and making sure that I don't crunch this arm underneath myself. But I was, looking into it and I started seeing ads for these like huge U-shaped pillows that help people who have back pain to get themselves, it's like you can manipulate all the arms, not all the arms, it only has 2 arms. I mean, it's just one U. So it has like the 2 sides of the U. You can manipulate those sides to get yourself in a comfortable position and not have to have like all of these pillows flopping all over the place. So I wanted one, and I was talking to Joe about it, and I felt like it was a lot of money. The one that I picked out was like $90 or something. And I was like, I really want this, but I just feel like I need to wait like a couple of months before I can spend any more money. And he just got it for me. And now that I've slept with it, and I have it here to show you, it's huge. I mean, part of why I'm gonna show you is that it's huge. It's enormous. So this is me at night, although I usually sneak my silk pillow. I like flatten my silk pillow out and I sneak it in. So that's what my face is on. My it's like a down pillow with a pillowcase. And then I put this one between my legs and I put my arm over here and I hug it and I sleep like that. The other thing that's really great about it is that it's really supportive for me for like working in bed. And I try not to work in bed too much. I feel like some of the shoulder issues are coming from that. One of the things that I've been doing because of it is I've been making sure that almost all the time that I'm editing or writing, my computer is elevated like all the way up to eye level. So I have like a laptop stand on top of a box on top of my desk, and I have like a keyboard separate from it. So I'm typing down on my separate keyboard and looking up at my screen 90% of the time when I'm working. But sometimes I do need to like be doing things on my computer and I just happen to be sitting in bed, or I'm like resting and I'm doing stuff. I can't keep myself, maybe it's a self-control issue, but I can't keep myself from ever using my computer in bed. I don't do it as much, not even close to as much as like working on my computer on my desk, but sometimes I'm doing it. And when I am working on my computer in bed, this U-shaped pillow is really great because I can like sort of prop the U-bend part of it up and like lean against it. And then the 2 arms coming down are like armrests for my arms. So I feel like I'm almost sitting in an armchair, but on my bed, and it helps keep my back straighter and helps me to like keep my chin up and just maintain a slightly better posture than I would be if I was just like crunched up in bed on my pillows working on my computer. So it's been fantastic for that as well. It's made it easier for me to rest in bed and work when I feel like that's what I want to be doing. But the really, truly amazing thing about it is how easy it is for me to get into a position that's comfortable for my body and that's better for my body, more aligned than it was when I was just trying to do it all with pillows. There are a bunch of this kind of thing on the market. I read a bunch of reviews. This one's called the Moonlight pillow. And I have to say, it had all these reviews that were like, it's the softest thing I've ever felt. It's like clouds, like all of these clouds and all of this stuff. It's not very soft. It just feels like it's not like a down pillow or something. It's kind of firm actually, which is good because it needs to be supportive, but it's not, I don't know what people are talking about when they're like, it feels like clouds and fluffy bunnies and rabbit fur and all this. It does not. It's just like a big firm pillow. The thing that's great about it is that it's really big. Like if a little measly thin one wouldn't work for me because I'm kind of like a big person. I'm 5'9". People have been asking lately how tall I am because I think I mentioned recently that I was tall in a video and everyone thinks that I'm short because they only see my face. But I'm a sturdy tall woman. So I needed a sturdy, big, long pillow. And this one, the Moonlight one, is bigger than the other ones that I was looking at. And it's about the same price as all the other ones that are out there. So I'm really glad that I picked it. It's beautifully made. It's very sturdy. The quality is really good. I mean, it's the only one that I've ever tried, but there's been no issue with it for me, except for that it doesn't look very nice. Like it doesn't cut. I would have liked it if I could have picked like a different color for the pillow cover. If I still had my sewing machines and our sewing space and we were still living downtown near the garment district, I would totally like go to get fabric from one of the fabric shops there and like sew a pillowcase in the right color to match all of our bedding to cover it. But I don't have the space. All my machines are in storage, and I'm not really going out right now because we're still trying to be really as safe as possible. So maybe in the future I'll be able to do that. But to me, that's the only downside. It's not very aesthetically pleasing, but it has helped my back so much. And that has really cheered me up because it was really getting me down, that I was starting to experience basically what it was starting to be chronic pain. And I don't want that. So my Moonlight pillow, now that I've used it, I feel like if I could go back and, I mean, of course, I'm very grateful that Joe was willing to get it for me as a gift, but I would not now hesitate to buy it for myself with my own money, because it did end up helping as much as I hoped that it would. Okay, and the last two things that I have on the list, kind of like abstract. Wedding planning being relaxed is kind of cheering me up. I don't know. I think that I've mentioned this a couple of times already, definitely on Patreon, because I've been doing more like bridal makeup and hair stuff over there. But I've also talked about it on the main channel at least once, if not twice. Just that I'm sort of surprised that I don't feel more troubled over how relatively last minute this is and how casual of a thing we're planning on doing. The fact that we decided not to have any kind of big wedding or really any kind of wedding at all. It's just suddenly so easy to let go of those fantasies, and so clear to me that it's not what I really want. It's not really serving what I actually want in my life to like obsess over the aesthetic details and try to make this like huge bonanza perfect day or anything. Like, I think the thing that's cheering me up is that I talk about being a person who's slowly learning to let go of perfection. And I see myself as a person who has let go more and more of the need for control and perfection over the years. And I have seen evidence of that in my life. And that's the journey, you know what I mean? Like, it's a big thing for me. A lot of that has happened while I've been here on YouTube, and I've talked about it here on YouTube. But once in a while, something happens that gives me really strong evidence that I've changed a lot. It's almost like I have surprised myself with how laid back I've been. Every day I surprise myself. Every day I'm kind of like, whoa, I can't believe that I'm not holding on tighter to this, or that I'm not pushing harder, trying harder. And I think that the reality of actually planning this little ceremony that we're planning, it's the most evidence for that I've ever had. It's like the biggest thing. It's symbolic in its own way. That's the way in which it's been symbolic for me. It's like the approach that I'm taking to the idea of marriage and the ease of it for me is proof to me of something that I have thought has been going on in me, that I've been working on in me, that I've said I'm doing, and that I have believed I'm doing, but I've just never gotten such a huge, powerful piece of proof. And this is that. And it's just been happening over the past month or so as we've been thinking about and planning this little civil ceremony. And it's a marvel to me. I mean, I think to say that it's cheering me up it's too weak a phrase. It's really given me hope for my future. That's I think the best way to say it. It has given me hope for myself in my life going forward, from whence I have come, from the overspending, the obsession, the perfectionism, the fact that this is going down the way it is. It's making me excited about continuing to live as this version of myself. So that's been good. And then the same has been true of the current situation with shopping. Like I wrote on the list, wedding planning being relaxed and shopping being relaxed. the thing that keeps surprising me, and I've talked about this again recently because I did that video about all the things that I didn't buy, the things that I wanted and didn't buy. I had my spending season, the spring and summer. I did the video about all of the things I bought. You know, it was like almost 4 months there where I was just like buying things once in a while. And I'm not going on a no buy. I'm not on a no buy right now. But I haven't been buying anything either. You know, that part of me that's like, I already spent my money for this season, or I already got the things that I wanted. It's just been really natural to be that way. And once again, it's like, I know that this is true. And I've also said it already on my channel pretty recently, which is why I saved this for the end. I've already been talking to you guys about how I like didn't buy 2 pairs of sandals because I've already spent all my money. I didn't buy that beautiful set from Doan because I feel like I'd already spent all my money for the spring and summer. I talked about wanting more jewelry. I think with the Doan set, I said it best when I was like, you know, if it was the beginning of the summer and I hadn't bought anything summery or anything with my spring and summer budget, then maybe I would have bought it. But it's the end of my spending season right now. Even things that I don't consider to be too expensive for me or outside of my budget, even those things, even little things, I'm just not buying because I just don't feel like it's buying time. The way in which this is cheering me up is that it's happening every day and it's happening naturally. Almost every day, because I don't necessarily like look online at beautiful things every day or shop online every day. But lately, for the past couple of weeks, every time I see something that I'm tempted by on Instagram or whatever, you know, or I remember something that's on my wish list, or something that I used to want, suddenly it's on sale and it's really tempting now because it's on sale. Every time that's happened to me, I've been like, no. And every time that happens, like I say no to the desire, I X out the thing, I don't buy it. Every time that happens, it cheers me up because I look at myself and I'm like, look at you. Like that was so natural. It was so easy. It just feels like your default in the way that it used to be my default when I was on a no buy. It's like the no buy mentality has settled back in as the default, but it's not because I'm on a no buy. It's not because I made a promise to myself. It's not because I have rules and I'm sticking to the rules. It's because it's in my best interest to be prudent, to be in austerity mode right now. It's in my best interest not to spend much more money over the next couple of months. So it's like I'm doing it for myself because it's the thing that works for me. I'm not doing it for myself because of the rules that have been in place, because I'm holding my feet to the fire. I'm just doing it. And I feel cheered by that. If you haven't watched my videos about what went on with my spring and summer budget, then the video about what I did buy with my spring and summer budget, and then the video about the stuff I didn't buy with my spring and summer budget, then you should go watch them if you're interested in this part of what I'm talking about, because those 3 videos together, it's kind of like a little trilogy. Those 3 videos together do a better job of explaining what I am currently trying to explain to you. But it's continued to be such a presence in my life, this fact, so much that I thought of it when I was making the list of what's cheering me up right now. I was like, you know, what's really cheering me up right now is the fact that I have been so easily able to keep myself from buying the things that I've been tempted to buy. And it's just been because I feel like I've spent enough. I've spent enough for this season, and so that's it. And that's it for the video. That's everything that's on my list. That's everything that's been cheering me up right now. I am really gonna try, I promise, not to go so long between this video and the next what's cheering me up right now. Things cheer me up all the time. I definitely have the capacity to film a video like this every 3 weeks or so. And for some reason I let it go like months and months since the last one. But feel free to remind me. If a month has gone by and another video like this hasn't popped up, feel free to remind me in a comment here on Instagram or here or on like YouTube or something. Just be like, Hannah, it's time for another Wookamern. We've been missing Wookamern. Bring it back. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that it allowed you to reflect on some of the things that are cheering you up right now, and maybe even gave you some ideas of things that you could try, things that have been cheering me up that could in turn cheer you up. And more than any of that, I hope that you are remembering to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work in the world.